So it's time for a guest here on the Ale and Audio podcast. And if you remember our last show a couple of weeks ago now, in the Brews Round feature, and for those that have been listening to Ale and Radio as well, we spoke about a brewery and a particular pub who got into the news for basically a very interesting beer, an interestingly named beer. We know that how people name the beers and brewers name the beers after all sorts of stuff, but this particular brewery I'm going to be chatting with have got a great range of beers, all themed around a particular thing. So here we go. On the show with me today, I've got Luke from Mitchell Brewing. How are you doing, Luke?
Morning, Jimbo. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yes, not bad at all. Thank you. Great to have you on. So yeah, you featured in Brews Round last week, and it was. I mean, it's gone viral, hasn't it? Your beer, Osama Bin Lager. So tell us about this, and obviously it's not the only brew that you do, but tell us about the story behind Mitchell Brewing and obviously where these beers came from as well.
Yeah, definitely gone viral. At last check, we were at about 32 million views across the 3 major social platforms. Apologies, I've got a typhoon going over my head, as you can hear. We're right next to RAF Coningsby runway. Osama Bin Lager is part of our Dictator series, which has been quite popular. Obviously, that's the one that's gained the mainstream attention, both positive and negative. It started basically the brewer had some malt left and asked me what should we do with it. It wasn't something we were going to use again, and I just responded to him. I said, "Oh, let's just nuke it." And he turned around and he goes, "Oh, shall we Kim Jong it?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's Kim Jong ale it." And it's sort of that. It was something we brewed. I think, off the top of my head, I reckon we got about 60, 70 brewers barrels out of it. So whatever it was a small amount, and it just sold, and it sold really well. And people were pestering us saying, "Oh, you're going to redo it again?" And we were like, "Well, no, it was just the plan was, let's just get rid of this, get it done, get it used." And ended up bowing to peer pressure, and through that we created the Dictator line, which ironically was meant to end in July. We only ever run lines for a year, and then we'll switch. Like, our next line is going to be corrupt countries. And obviously the play on words with that, but naturally, as you can probably imagine and your listeners can imagine, we're going to run with the Dictator line a little bit longer.
Brilliant. I mean, and yeah, like you say, it's gone down very well, hasn't it? So how, as a brewery, how long have you been going then?
So myself and my wife bought a disused brewery. It had shut, abandoned. My father-in-law was pestering me, saying, "Oh, we need to buy this. We can do something with it." Obviously, we've always been in the pub game. I've done some, shed work and stuff, but never anything major. So we came to a deal with it in 2021, in the middle of all the troubles, and eventually we got it sailing and going summer 2022. And then in 2023, we decided we were planning on moving it to Billinghay. We're battling with planning at the minute, so it's currently stuck in Button-Oak, but we will get it to Billinghay eventually, which is where our massive pub is that loads and loads of people have been visiting these last few weeks.
I mean, it sounds like you're doing really, really well, and obviously that publicity has obviously brought that attention and more visitors as well. So in terms of it going viral, where did that start? Had it kind of been there a while, the beer, and how did it just suddenly shoot into the newspapers and onto the media and stuff?
Yeah, so the Dictator line started end of July last year. Bin Lager itself has been on our bar. Couldn't tell you the exact time, but we figured it was either end of August, start of September. It's also been in other pubs up and down the country, on and off, rotation and permanence. It started with a gentleman on Facebook. Somebody had posted on the Lincoln pub group, "Does anyone know anywhere in the Lincoln area that serves Mao?" And one of our guys put the picture on. Yep, we serve Mao, and it happens to be that Bin Lager's next to Mao on the pump. This guy then put a tweet on it saying Lincolnshire pubs are the best. I have since met this gentleman. He's a lovely guy, Toby. And it just spiraled. He only had 2,500 followers, but it spiraled and it went up. There was people in the pub Monday, Tuesday when it first went viral, counting in the millions as it was going up. It was like 2 million, an hour later, 3 million, and it just went nuts. And then the BBC caught it. They were at our door, never asked us, just turned up with cameras. And we're like, okay, well, let's do this. And then obviously Daily Star, Daily Mirror, New York Post. It's been 26 countries that we've located so far. We've been interviewed, or they've used past interviews to quote us.
Absolutely brilliant. And I know the sort of article that I read that originally brought my attention to this, you sort of said at the time that, you hadn't really got much negative feedback from it as well, because understandably, it's one of those things that could easily be misinterpreted a little bit, but there is also kind of a good message behind it as well, isn't there?
There is, yeah, the negative at the time, the article you read, we didn't really get much negative. We have now, since the New York Post and American chains picked it up, which is understandable. Obviously, Bin Laden was a terrorist, and he was a terrorist, 2 decades before 9/11, which has upset them. He has killed his own people, Christians, Jews, and everything. But everything we do in terms of each series we produce, we always go for something towards charity. One of two things. It's not just obviously this hits home and hits people close to home, and we give £10 for every barrel we sell out to a pub. Goes on to the Friends of 9/11 charities. Whatever charities contact us, and you should see our email inbox. We have a lot. But when we did the cartoon charities, we were giving money to the Queen's Medical Centre. So our previous run that a lot of people aren't aware of before the Dictator run was cartoons and taking the mick out of varying cartoon characters. I obviously put my head above the parapet, so to speak. We've had abuse and we've had positive feedbacks, and that the British humour is a play on words, but at the same time, I don't disengage anybody's opinions. People have probably seen through Instagram, Facebook, through that. I've responded, my team's responded, and we take it on board. We can't be as controversial in naming our beers and then expect everybody to play nice, so to speak.
Exactly, and obviously the fact that it's caught on and caught the attention of people has then resulted in more sales, which will ultimately benefit those charities as well.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Obviously, our online sales have been through the roof in terms of UK only for the bottles. You've probably read somewhere that we're struggling to keep up. The bottling plant did cry at me, but we're getting on there now. But like you say, the key thing is the barrels, and we're getting in-store requests. So I've been up. I mean, this week I've been Stoke, Manchester, Durham. All from little old Lincolnshire. So that is going to benefit. And we're also obviously, this is only something we've said to you, but once all this summer season's over and it starts dying down again, you'll see a big donation that we want to do in memory from all of our beer drinkers, and we've got something in the pipeline which we hope to give a decent sized check in July, August across.
Absolutely brilliant, nice one. That's amazing. And I mean, you've kind of followed it up as well, because obviously that news article, those news articles about the Osama Bin Lager, kind of led on to what you're also doing next. And I did think, when I saw this Osama Bin Lager, I started to think of other sort of like kind of dictators or controversial politicians and stuff like that. And then I thought about Donald Trump, and I was sat there thinking, what could we call it? What could we call it? And then it was only like a couple hours later, another article popped up, and there you go. You're already onto it, aren't you?
Yeah, we were teaming up with Beartown. I'm friends with our head of sales, Tony. Lovely guy, brilliant beer makers, by the way. If any of your customers haven't tried any of their stuff, please do, because they are phenomenal. And we were going for an orange gluten-free lager, which was going to be part of our next corrupt countries series. Obviously, we've had to adapt, like I said earlier to you, and I was thinking, well, we're orange, and there's only one dictator who's orange that I can think of, and then all the trouble from America as well. I was like, do you know what? I said, let's make him answerable. And as you've seen on the national news, you've been watching it today. He's obviously in the focal point, and the little tagline of "There's a storm coming, and this is one that he can't pay his way out of" was a nice little tongue-in-cheek addition, and that's what it is. It's a tongue-in-cheek. I mean, we could all dream of being the success that Mr. Trump has had in his business career. Whatever our view on his politics career is, he is, has been the world's most powerful man at one point, and it's just a nice little tongue-in-cheek. And hopefully, you'll tweet about it, or probably sue us, one or the other. We'll find out what goes on.
Well, yes. I mean, it's really good what you're doing. Obviously, you're catching everyone's attention, and that's really good. And it's good. It's a good inspiration for other brewers as well, who are all doing really creative things as well. Is there any sort of, because obviously you started in 2021, obviously you were into beer, and obviously it sounds like you ran the pub before and everything like that as well. Kind of, when it comes to your journey, are there anyone that you took inspirations from in terms of type of beer that you like to make and things like that?
There wasn't actually, to be fair. I grew up in Keighley, so obviously Timmy Taylor's is a big, big part, and used to sit on my nana's wall and overlook where the old drays used to be on Queen Street, and was always fascinated and mesmerised by it. But my most sort of, in terms of the way that I want Mitchell Brewing to go, I took massive, massive inspiration from Brewdog. Um, and it'd be nice to be on that path, and it'd be nice to be a pound behind them, but it's the way that they built it, the way they did it unusually. They didn't do it conventionally in terms of the fundraising, in terms of this is how we're going to do things, and people did react well to that. So I've got massive respect for James. But I'm always looking and always learning. As you can imagine, I've been invited to collab with quite a lot of breweries in this last few weeks, and there's quite a few that I am looking to go to and work with. And from your man in his garage with his little setup all the way through to some of the bigger breweries that we've been to, there's always inspiration and the joy of the world. Even though we've been getting some negative from people and saying, "Oh, they're ruining the craft beer scene, they're ruining this." The joy of the world is watching how different
Hmm.
people do different things. I mean, we never knew we'd get this viral. Never knew we'd get viral. I knew it was controversial, but it's nice because I will sit and talk to a million people a day if I could about their varying different things, their marketing, and how they're brewing. And that is the excitement, and it's why your listeners obviously tune in and listen to you as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the pub that you've got as well, though, everyone's sort of flocking to. Is that in an area that's not always used to as many tourists and things like that? Is that? I mean, it must be a good thing as well for the pub and the area.
Uh, it is. It does seem to be. So we bought this pub almost a year ago today. I think it was 26th of May last year. We exchanged on this pub. It's a massive pub, capacity of about 226, and it's on the main road through to Skegness. So it is very seasonal. Reason we bought is the huge land with it, and obviously our aim to get the brewery next door. It's bought a decent amount of trade to the village. We close on Wednesdays. That's our day off with our 4 children. And we're doing things like, putting posts up saying, close today, but please go to the ship across the road, the plough in the next village, wherever it may be, we list the pubs. I'm hoping that's had a good effect on the village. The locals in general, the few that we do have, being quite a seasonal and main road pub, they're liking people coming in. We're getting funny people coming in fancy dress costumes. Had one come in a Bin Laden costume, which was a
Oh
bit,
God.
close to the edge, but that was great. Got people coming in asking to take the picture, people just wanting to try the beer. Obviously, a lot of them hunting for bottles, which are like gold dust at the minute, but it's all fun. And we get to talk to people. We've had people from Leicestershire, people from Yorkshire, people come up from Cambridgeshire. We get to chat to them and, just see what they like. And there has been a couple who've been in who've said, it's not really to my taste. And they're talking about the marketing, and that's fair. We don't,
Mhm.
we don't expect everyone to have the same sense of humor.
So you mentioned earlier as well that you're kind of in the process of a bit of growth. Is that right? You're working on moving to a new site. I'm guessing that's going to help you do new things as well.
Yeah, we are. So, ironically, this morning I've been in a meeting with our financial officer. She's working hard on that. We issued shares. So again, following from the BrewDog thing, prior to this, we'd issued shares for our customers with the hope of raising about 700,000 in capital. As you can imagine, that's popped. So it's almost certain we're going to hit our target. But we want to build a custom, purpose-built, eco-friendly brewery. Hopefully allowing us to approach, as we get bigger, about 300 to 400 hectolitres per day. That's obviously the expansion plan. It's not, we're not silly enough to think we're going to open it and do that straight off the bat. But if the demand's there, and it should create 20 to 25 job opportunities in this local area. And we're in a very, very rundown Fenland area. There's no transport, no public links. So in terms of the economy for the local area, it should be good as well.
Oh, brilliant! That sounds really good. And obviously, like you say, you're struggling to get as many that meet the demand for all the bottles and stuff at the minute because of how the popularity of this particular beer. So if people do want that, is it a case they just have to keep their eye on the web shop and be quick when they come in and when they're available?
No, so we've switched our web shop onto pre-orders, and we've got the promise out that by the 30th of June, every single pre-order will be at that person's door. Realistically, I've been up to the bottling plant yesterday on my day off. We'll probably meet that about mid-June. We have covered it, so there'll be on our way is 27,500 bottles in the initial run. And then we'll back it up by doing another 15,000, so there'll be plenty in stock. So we will.
Oh,
it just caught us out, as you can imagine. We were
of course, yeah.
doing 400 to 500 a month prior to that, so it was a big sort of, whoa, what's going on?
Brilliant. And so people can make those pre-orders now, then, can they?
Yeah, they can. Mitchell Brewing Co is our website. Obviously, we sold out, as you can imagine, of everything: beer mats, posters, t-shirts, bottles, everything just got absolutely smoked, which is a brilliant thing. But now we're back level with everything, including the bottles on pre-order. So, yeah, hopefully you can have a try of the Bin Lager. It's a nice kick and it's a good summer lager. So, and it's not too badly priced.
Excellent, and I'm sure people will be wanting because I know there's lots of beer lovers who like to take the stickers off the cans and the bottles and stuff like that, and save them, stick them up on the walls and stuff like that. So I'm sure it'd be a welcome addition to a lot of people's bars and pub sheds as well, or people's own collections, just to keep the bottle and stuff like that. So there we go. Luke, thank you so much for joining me. I know you've been really, really busy, so I really appreciate that you've taken time out to speak to our podcast today.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me. If we do get this brewery opened, it'd be nice to invite you down to do a session from the brewery. And thank you to all customers, positive and negative feedback. Keep listening, and I'll keep my eyes out on social media as you take pictures with the Bin Lager bottles.
Brilliant. Yes, I definitely will take you up on that offer when you get up and running and everything. I'd be definitely be heading coming down to see you. So there we go. Cheers, Luke.
Thank you.